The Arizona sun burned high over the dusty frontier town of Black Mesa as Thomas Reed stepped off the rickety mail coach, wiped sweat from his brow, and tried to convince himself that he wasn't making the biggest mistake of his life. Because after years of drifting between ranches and odd jobs, years of eating supper alone by lantern light, years of pretending loneliness didn't hurt as much as it did, he finally decided he deserved companionship and sent money to a marriage agency that promised him a gentle, delicate, soft-spoken bride from the East, someone small and sweet and ready for a quiet ranch life. And he spent weeks imagining a shy woman stepping off a carriage with a parasol and a blush. But as he waited at the edge of town, dust swirling around his boots while the second coach ran late, he felt a knot in his chest growing tighter. And when he finally heard a rumble in the distance, it didn't sound like wheels. No, it sounded heavier, like thunder walking. And then out of the shimmering heat appeared a towering figure, a woman unlike anything Thomas had ever seen, a giant Apache woman with thick braids swinging against her back, broad shoulders draped in leather fringe, bronze skin glowing under the sun, and eyes sharp enough to slice through steel. She strode forward with long, powerful steps that shook the ground, stopped in front of the stunned cowboy, and looked down at him with an expression caught between curiosity and challenge, before saying in a steady, confident voice that carried through the desert, "You are Thomas Reed." When he stammered a yes, she introduced herself as Noya, daughter of Running Hawk, and announced that she was the bride he sent for. Thomas's jaw nearly fell to the ground as he whispered, "I thought she was delicate." And Noya raised an eyebrow in offense, replying, "Apache women are not delicate. We are strong." And though Thomas struggled to understand how his letters had somehow gone to her instead of the woman described in the advertisement, he couldn't bring himself to insult her, especially not when her shadow covered him completely like a living mountain. She told him she traveled many days to reach him, and if he didn't want her, she would return to her people. But she believed a strong woman could make a strong home, and something about the quiet vulnerability beneath her powerful presence made Thomas hesitate, because maybe the universe wasn't punishing him, but giving him something unexpected, something bold, something he didn't even know he needed. So when she asked if he wished to turn her away, he swallowed hard and said they should talk first, get to know each other. And Noya smiled for the first time, a small but warm smile that softened her fierce face, and they walked together into town. The townsfolk stared openly as the unlikely pair passed, Thomas small and nervous, Noya tall and unbothered. And when they reached the general store, he shyly suggested buying supplies before heading out to his homestead. But Noya paused, leaned down so her intense eyes met his, and asked softly if he truly wanted her to go with him, because she needed the truth. And Thomas, still overwhelmed but honest, admitted he didn't know yet because everything happened fast and he expected someone else. Noya explained that the mail routes weren't safe and maybe the delicate woman he'd written to never made the journey. But she survived because she was strong, and she left her tribe not out of rebellion but because she wanted a new path. And because his letters sounded lonely, and Thomas felt embarrassment twist inside him as he realized he had accidentally written his heart to the wrong woman, yet she was the only one who had answered that call. When old Mr. Calloway peeked out of his store and nearly fainted at the sight of Noya, she strode up and requested water, dried meat, rope, and the sharpest axe available, and the old man obeyed without a sliver of hesitation, proving her point that some men respected strength more than words. After gathering supplies, they walked to the livery, and when Noya asked where her horse was, Thomas nearly choked because he hadn't expected to need a second one. But she simply laughed deeply and chose the wildest, strongest stallion in the barn, the one the stable hand swore would throw every rider. Noya ignored the warning, placed her hand gently on the stallion's forehead, whispered a few words in Apache, and the massive beast bowed its head in instant submission, allowing her to climb onto its back like she was born for the saddle. Leaving Thomas speechless yet again, they rode out of town into the vast desert plains, the heat simmering off the earth. And after several miles of silence, Noya asked why he wanted a bride in the first place. And Thomas admitted that the ranch life got too quiet and he longed for someone to talk to, someone to build a life with, someone to come home to after long days of work. Noya listened, then asked gently what kind of woman he wanted now that he had seen her. And Thomas, surprising even himself, answered that he wanted someone real. Strong or delicate didn't matter, just real. And Noya's expression softened into something shy and hopeful as she murmured, "Then maybe I can be that woman." When they finally reached Thomas's homestead, a small lonely cabin nestled against open fields, Noya dismounted and touched the wooden door with a strange tenderness, saying the place had spirit and could become a home with the right hands. And Thomas felt warmth begin to spread in his chest, because she didn't mock his simple house or his quiet life. As the sun dipped behind the horizon and night settled gently around them, he realized that his future, with all its uncertainty, strangeness and wild twists, had just begun, and the woman fate had sent him was stronger, braver, and more formidable than anything he could have imagined. Yet deep inside he felt something shift, something hopeful, something alive. And as their story unfolded under the desert stars, Thomas knew anyone hearing this tale, this unexpected romance of a cowboy and a giant, Apache warrior woman, would surely want to stay with them for the next adventure, because this journey was only going to get more incredible from here. So if you're following this wild, emotional, unpredictable story, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next chapter in this unforgettable saga.